Hey gang, Ross Brand here for LivestreamUniverse.com. This is Livestream Deals. Welcome everybody. It's our first show going to LinkedIn Live, and we're also on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, and Twitch. Special welcome to everybody on LinkedIn Live. Appreciate you watching. It's been fun being on LinkedIn Live the past week. Today we have a couple of great guests. Jennifer Quinn was my first guest ever when I started live streaming. And so I figured for LinkedIn Live, it'd be fun to have her back on as the first guest on LinkedIn Live as well. And she'll be talking about her book, Leverage Live Streaming to Build Your Brand. And we also have Dan Courier of Creator Fundamentals. He'll be talking about his upcoming People of Video event, bringing video creators, talented video creators to the East Coast in May of 2020. It'll be here before you know it. So looking forward to hearing from him about what he's planning for that event, as well as getting his recommendations and tips for what to do on YouTube. He's a very talented creator and has a great way of making things simple for those using YouTube, and enjoy both Jennifer and Dan's work very much. You can find all the products and services we feature on this show at livestreamdeals.com, livestreamdeals.com. And this is, as we mentioned, the first live stream deals on LinkedIn Live. And whatever platform you're watching us on, you can always check us out, hashtag livestream deals or hashtag Ross Brand Live. And also want to thank StreamYard for powering this broadcast. You can check out StreamYard if you haven't tried them. It's an awesome platform. Go to livestreamuniverse.com/StreamYard. And with that, let's bring in our first guest. She's one of the pioneers in live streaming to social media, was a star on Blab with a daily show that then became a several times a week show. And then from there, she went on to Facebook Live and started Facebook Live's first variety show, and wrote probably the best book for getting started live streaming. The rest of the accomplishments, I just don't want her to get like too big an ego. So we'll start there. Welcome, Jennifer Quinn. Great to have you on Livestream Deals.
Oh my gosh, that was a great intro. I'm so glad you stopped. That was excellent. That was amazing. I'm so happy and honored and grateful to be on your first LinkedIn Live show. We go back a ways, Ross.
We do. So that was the fall of 2015. I had started Livestream Universe about a month and a half earlier and wasn't actually planning on doing any live streaming. I was just going to kind of cover. I was going to be like the media for live streaming. And then I called into a couple shows and got a little bit of a taste of it and said, maybe I should do a show.
Oh, I'm so glad you did.
I guess I've done a few lives since then, but but you were my first guest. I reached out to you to come on the show. It was November 23rd, 2015, and you said yes. You had no idea, I don't think, who I was or what I do. You had no idea that I had a background in radio, so you didn't know what it was going to be like or what you were in for. And it came out to be a pretty good time, and we've been doing shows ever since. I think you've been a guest on probably 3 or 4 times at least on my shows. I know I've been on your variety show on Facebook Live when you were doing that. So welcome back. I mean, it's great to talk to you. How have you been?
Thank you so much. So I've been good. How about you? No, actually, no, it was last night. I watched that first show that when I was a guest on your first show. And it was like, I think I had a smile on my face the whole time, because not only was it so fun, but it was such a great, walk down memory lane from that point to now. And it's like watching your live streaming life flash before your eyes. I was just like, dang, what a great journey this has been. And it's been so awesome to share it with you. And you have still, even though you are a broadcaster, you still have done a great job at, shining the light on everyone in the live streaming community. And so you still do what your original thing was, but you just added to it.
Well, and coming from radio, the whole visual side of this was new to me, and that was really one of the first times that I was on a webcam. And I think that's the most striking thing. If you look back at the video or the picture, I'm kind of sitting in the dark, and I think I'm a little bit sitting in the dark here just for old time's sake. That might be a little better. But I'm sitting in the dark. I have no background. I don't think I'm looking at the camera at all. And I'm using the built-in webcam in my computer. I've got a USB mic plugged in. But it goes to show for people who think, because I've gotten to know the technology. And let me tell you, when you work in radio, you don't have to know the technology. There are people who are hired to do that. You sit down and you do your thing. But so I've learned the technology over time, but it shows that it's really about the conversation first and foremost, and then you can always level up the technology as you go along. But all the technology in the world won't do you any good if the show isn't good, right?
Absolutely, 100%. And just for the record, it wasn't as bad as you described. I just want to let people know that right now. But mine was 10 times worse than what you described. My very first show on Blab. And I keep it and I show it because exactly what you just said. I want people to know that you start where you are with what you have and you create good content. And you know what? You'll get better as you go. One of the best pieces of advice that I received when I started live streaming, it was on Periscope. And I don't know if you remember a guy named Dave Shrine. He was like way ahead of me, probably like 2 months, right, ahead of me. And so, but one of the things he said in his broadcast was, your first 100 Periscope broadcasts, or what we used to call scopes, are going to suck. So just hurry and get those out of the way, because that's your learning curve, right? And so it really helped me a lot. And then what was kind of cool was in New York City at the first Periscope Summit, he was there, and it just happened to be my 100th broadcast. So I said, hey, Dave, will you do the 100th broadcast with me? Because that advice just got me through. And so now, what though, Ross, you do have to start where you are with what you have. No question. There are a few tips and tricks though, that you don't have to learn the hard way, because people like you and me are here to teach.
Well, fortunately, you wrote a book about it. The book is called Leverage Live Streaming to Build Your Brand. Start, master, and monetize live video with insider tips and tricks. The forward's written by Brian Kramer. You got other live streamers, can't remember who, but you got some other live streamers to contribute. What are some of the things for people just starting out, particularly if they're starting out on the mobile side? I don't know how much mobile you did when you started out, but I basically went right to laptop, desktop, and it took me a while before I started doing mobile stuff. I do mobile stuff when it's required, but I've always liked but for a lot of people, starting with mobile is the best option. Talk about, how you recommend people go about doing that.
Yeah, well, I actually was exact opposite. I started mobile on Periscope because it was only a mobile app. And so, and then with Blab, that's where, I started doing things like studio and software and lighting and all that. But I have broken it down, and it is in the book, but I'm going to share it with you now. So there's 4 things to pay attention to when you're doing any live streaming or any video creation. But since you asked me to talk about mobile, I will go there specifically. So the acronym is LAVS. LAVS. Okay. So I bet you can guess what the L is.
Live.
Ooh, that's a good one, but no, it's lighting. You gotta pay attention to your lighting. So the great news is you don't have to go out and spend hundreds of dollars on studio lighting. You really don't even have to go and get a clip-on ring on your phone, light ring, or a Diva ring light. All you have to do is sit in front of a window, because daylight is amazing lighting. And so what I recommend when I'm working with my clients is, let's position yourself, whether you're on, I'm trying to stick with mobile, but whether you're on desktop or mobile, make sure that the daylight is coming in on your face. Now, if it's too bright and you look super washed out, then just pull the curtain or pull a sheer or something to act as a diffuser. And so that's going to be really great lighting. Easy, right?
Yeah, and you don't have to stick to mobile. I mean, pretty much the same
Okay. All
principles
right.
apply, right?
Okay.
Stable video, lighting. Talk about anything else you would recommend for people starting out.
Well, yeah. So let's go down the labs. So
Sure.
we've got the lighting and then the audio. The audio is so important. And Ross, you actually were a contributor in my book, and you talk a lot about the different things for technology. And you actually, I think, said in the book that audio is more important than video. Am I right?
Well, what else was I going to do? I was sitting in the dark doing my broadcast on a built-in webcam. No, but I do believe truly for this type of show, audio is the most important part of your live video, because if the video goes out, people can still get the content. But if the audio goes out, there's nothing but this.
Well, that's a great point. And also, a lot of people are listening while they're doing other things.
Right,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. And so for audio, if you're using a mobile device and you're in a quiet area or, quiet location, then if your mobile device is within 1 to 3 feet of you, especially, I want to make sure that we're qualifying a mobile device. It should be the last few years, whether it's Droid or iPhone, it doesn't matter, but something within the last few years, because the technology really has kept up with the demand for video creation and live streaming. And so if you're in a quiet place and you're between 1 to 3 feet of your mobile device, you should be fine. Just talking, just doing your thing. Let's say you're in a little bit of a noisy place, or your phone is farther away. Well, then you'll need some audio, equipment. You can start with just the earbuds that came with your phone. Start there. AirPods are pretty great most of the time. I've heard them once in a while, they're not so great. But then you can also, if you want to, you can buy different audio mobile mics for your audio. I have the Samson Bluetooth. Is it, gosh, I don't even know. The Samsung, it's the Bluetooth, right? Because it just hooks onto the back, and then I just get to walk around. It's the wireless
Mobile
lap.
Go or something like that.
What?
It's like a Mobile Go mic.
Yeah, that's it. And I love it. And I have 2 of them, so that if I'm out and about and I want to, do a quick interview with somebody, then we each get a good mic, and it's good. But so that's audio. Now, if you're on your desktop or laptop, you can just get a super inexpensive USB mic that works really great. Like it's amazing how much. We both started out with the, I think we both started out with the Audio-Technica 2100.
I used the ATR2100 for that first show, but after a few shows, I returned it and I got the Samson Q2u.
Okay.
Which, I mean, they're very similar mics. They just sound a little bit different, and I thought Samson was. I took a chance on it. I really didn't know anything about either one, to be honest. And I liked it. I mean, I used that mic was $49, and it plugs in USB, so I didn't need any other gear. You can get a very inexpensive boom arm to hold it, and for under $70, you're pretty much ready to go. And I did almost all my shows with that mic for, I don't know, 2 years, 2.5 years. I don't know. Till at least early 2018, when I got this mic, and then I got an audio interface and a stronger boom arm and all that stuff. But before that, I was doing everything on a $49 mic, and you could tell the difference if I went from this one to that one, but not that much, right? And you really, after a certain point, it's about you, and it's about very, very small changes.
I 100% agree. Because the average viewer isn't dialed in to listening to that variance as much as we are, right? Because we just keep hearing, that's what we do. We obsess over it. Okay, so there's the lighting and the audio, and then V is for video. Again, if you're using a recent model phone, it's amazing how the technology has kept up. It has kept up much better than the built-in webcams, on a new laptop or what have you. And so, you're going to be golden. I do want to share this tip though, because it is pretty important. Make sure before you go live, you clean your lenses, right? You clean your lenses. And so
what do you use to clean it?
Well, if I have it handy, I use a little microfiber thing. If I don't, then I use a T-shirt or whatever's there. Like,
Okay, so I'm not hurting myself too badly if I use
no, you're on the go, man. You got to get these things done. And then for the, if you're using your desktop or laptop, then go ahead and just buy, again, a very affordable Logitech USB webcam that has also kept up with the demand for high definition. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about mobile phones, and it's amazing. Since I moved over to iPhone, I think for the iPhone 7, and now I have an iPhone 10 something. It's amazing, and I'm kind of picky on the audio. It's amazing how good the audio is, just with the built-in mic. Like, if you have nothing else, you could go live with your phone, and it's amazing how good the video is. Because I was doing a video for mobile, and I was sort of sitting, but I angled it a little. I used my phone instead of, and somebody thought like I had a new set or because the camera is better than a webcam in a lot of ways.
Yep.
The camera from your phone is really, really good.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. And now, are you going to, after the show, are you going to give people links to the stuff we're talking about?
Sure, if you'd like me to.
Yeah. I mean, I think that'd be cool rather than, because now, I probably should have said that.
Sure.
Ago. But yeah, just give people links so that they know how to find it. And then, so S, guess what S stands for?
Sing.
Ironically, no.
Smile.
Smile. Ooh, that's a good one too. No, you said it a minute ago, but it's stability.
Stability.
Now, back in the beginning, and back in 2015, when we were all live streaming from our mobile device, the viewers were much more tolerant. But now we have sophisticated consumers who are looking at our content, and so we want to make sure that, unless, like, Gary V can rock it, he can rock the crazy, but unless it's in alignment with your brand, and I work with professionals and I coach them, so I'm like, typically speaking, if we want to establish authority and credibility, the majority of your live streams need to completely demonstrate that within the first 5 to 7 seconds. And a stable phone, a shaky phone is not going to do that, right? Don't give viewers a reason to say, can I trust this person? Right? So all of it works together. And so stability, you can get a very inexpensive tripod on Amazon. I like the selfie stick tripod for my Mobile Go kit. Right. But if you don't have that, you can use boxes, you can use books, you can set something up so that it's stable. And another thing that's really important is, as you're setting that up, make sure that the lens of the camera is eye level. This is, I think, one of the biggest mistakes I see most live streamers make. And the reason for that is you're going live to build the know, like, and trust factor. And the way that we are hardwired as humans to connect is eyeball to eyeball. So the next best thing to being there is digital eyeball to digital eyeball. So you want to make sure that it's eye level, and that as much as possible, you're looking into the lens, so that you can make that connection and the person can feel like you're really speaking with them.
Well, if you think this is good, you've got to check out the book, because there's a lot more great tips that'll take you from really getting started all the way to doing a professional level live stream broadcast. It's called Leverage Live Streaming to Build Your Brand. We're talking with Jennifer Quinn. Coming up in a little bit, we're going to talk to Dan Courier of Creator Fundamentals. Let's shift gears a little bit, because live streaming did more for you than just help your business or get you known. You really credited it with transforming your life in a lot of ways. Can you talk about the impact that live streaming and being part of the community and doing shows and interviewing people and all the different things you've done made an impact on your life that probably people wouldn't know about?
Yeah, well, honestly, every single area of my life, from business to personal to physical to social to just broadening my horizons, really. So the cool part about live streaming is everyone from all over the world can do it. And back in 2015, when Periscope started, we were connecting with people in all different industries, all different cultures, all different societies, and it was a level playing field. Truly, it was. And so when we all joined, I think it was September in 2015. So think of how quickly that happened. The app only came out in March of 2015. And then in September of 2015, people came in from all over the world, people who I can't think of any other tie that would have brought us all together. Right. And so then from there, it was the way it was described. It was like a summer camp reunion or something, because we had gotten to know each other so much by watching each other's broadcasts. And so from there, it kind of exploded to opportunities, speaking opportunities, emceeing opportunities, collaborations, and then of course, friendships, right? And so if we follow that line, my journey to answer your question, one thing led to another, and I was invited around the country to MC events from people that I met through Periscope, or do a workshop on, live streaming. So at one of these events, it was in Las Vegas, and it was in, I believe it was June of 2016. And so just to give you a little backstory, I've always been struggled with my weight, like a lot. And in January of 2015, I stepped on the scale at the doctor's office. I finally had enough courage. Mostly it wasn't courage. Mostly it was, I felt horrible and I didn't know what to do. So I stepped on the scale and I weighed 308 pounds. And he gave me a diagnosis that put me on the right path, but I could only get so far by myself. So I did lose 70 pounds on my own, but at 308, there's still a little ways to go. So at one of the events that I was emceeing, I met a personal trainer there named Glenn Dawson. And when he and I spoke after the event on the phone, he was saying stuff I'd never heard before. Now, I would have never met him had I not started live streaming. And because of that connection, I ended up, like 2 years ago in July, I hit the goal of hitting I lost half my body weight. And more importantly, I reversed some health conditions that I had been struggling with that took me to the doctor in the first place. And so, opportunities locally even, was because of live streaming. I was recognized as one of the Idaho Business Review Women of the Year of 2019 because of what I've done in live streaming. And so I really could go on, but I think you kind of get the gist.
Yeah. And I mean, even when you started out, your show took off like right away. I mean, you were selected the Queen of Blab in that awards ceremony at the end of 2015. Blab was a platform that's not been around for a while, but it's kind of where so many of us who have been active live streaming met and connected, and we're on each other's shows. And it's kind of amazing out of that community how many people have stuck with it on other platforms, learned some lessons from the demise of that platform, and probably have gotten better, because I think what you find when you go to other platforms is you need to bring an audience with you. So you have to start thinking about, how do I build an audience? How do I build a community? How do I create content that people are willing to see on any platform, rather than relying on that built-in discovery that Blab had?
Yeah, I totally agree. And even now, just listening to you talk about it and thinking back, there's some collaborations that are happening with people that I met back then that we lost touch, but because of the connection. But here's the cool thing that I love about the live streaming community, and that is at least my experience of it, is it's very inclusive. So if someone wants to jump onto live streaming right now, we're your biggest cheerleaders. We're over there saying, yes, do it. It's fun. What do you need help with? And if you've got a tech question, if you've got how do I structure my content? If you've got, when should I go live? All those questions, tell me if you disagree, but I feel like everybody's really willing to just jump in. It sounded like I said willy-nilly, but I didn't. Really willing to jump in really really willing to just jump in and give you all the support and all the answers that you need.
What's next for you? What are you planning on doing with live streaming next?
Well, I have season 5 of the JennyQ show, and I'm pretty sold on Facebook. I just love Facebook, so I'm doing that. I also have a podcast that will be coming out, and I actually have 2 ideas, so I'm not sure which I'm going to launch first. So I'll keep that under wraps for a minute.
Oh, share with the community. We can vote and let you know.
Well,
break news right here on Livestream Deals.
Don't get me wrong; it's tempting to go ahead and do that, but I'm gonna hold it back for a minute. But yeah,
Probably
and
a wise choice.
What?
Probably a wise choice.
Yeah, but I definitely continue doing the coaching. I love doing one-on-one coaching with professionals, lawyers, doctors, CPAs. It's just kind of where I feel super comfortable helping, and so yeah. And some other collaborations that are in the works that, until I've got a signed contract,
Right. No, that's great. What else do you find that besides live streaming, you said you're going to get into podcasting. Yeah. What other types of media do you do online besides live streaming and podcasting? Do you do a lot of social media still? Do you do anything with YouTube or other platforms like that?
Gosh, can I tell you a YouTube story?
Sure. We've got a YouTuber coming up in a few minutes.
Good.
Now's the time before he starts listening
to him, because he can make fun of me through his whole segment. When YouTube came out,
yes,
if I didn't say it out loud, I said it to myself very loudly. But I said, "What a dumb idea! Like, who wants to sit there and watch other people's home videos? That's never going to go anywhere. Oh, and by the way, I'm never going to be on video, so that's not for me." So yeah, Ross, I really should finally hop into YouTube, but no, I mean, I do want to for sure, but there's so many things to do, and maybe that could be a little tip for people. Pick what you love and go hard there instead of trying to be all things in all places to all people.
Absolutely. I want to say a quick hello to everybody watching LinkedIn. The comments don't aggregate into the studio from LinkedIn like they do from the other platforms. But it's so great to see Mitch Jackson watching, John Conrad, Brad Friedman, Rob Belisabis is there. So many people, Angus, Jay Garrett. I won't get to everybody. Nicole Sanchez, Crystal Murray, Jeffrey Fitzgerald, John Prado. A lot of people from the Blab days watching too, which is great to see. If you have questions for JennyQ, she's going to come back for the post show. Dan Courier will be coming on in just a minute, and he'll be sticking around for the post show. So do throw your questions in the chat, and we will go back and catch them and ask them in the post show. In addition to the book, anything else you'd like people to know, or any way you want them to connect with you? You can go to livestreamdeals.com and check out the book, Leverage Live Streaming to Build Your Brand.
Yeah, that's perfect. If they want to reach out to me, JennyQLive.com is just where everything is housed. So JennyQLive.com, boom.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jennifer. Right.
Ross, thank you so much. Always an honor. Thanks.
Awesome having you on the show. And that is Jennifer Quinn, and this is me, and I'm Ross Brand, and this is Livestream Deals. It's the show where we talk about products and services and events for live streaming, podcasting, video creation, smart speakers, Alexa flash briefings, and other online content creation needs. So glad you can join us. Welcome to everybody watching on Facebook and YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, Twitch. And for the first time, LinkedIn Live, we're doing live stream deals on LinkedIn Live. And we're going across all these platforms using Restream and producing it with StreamYard. And I can't say enough good things about all the different tech companies that have made this show possible and have been a part of it, and all the wonderful guests that we've had on over the last couple of years. And speaking of wonderful guests, we have Creator Fundamentals. He is Dan Courier. He is a terrific YouTuber, nearly 40,000 subscribers. He helps make YouTube simple and easy for people who would like to demystify it a little bit and learn how to go about creating content and kind of figuring out the algorithm and some of the complexities of YouTube and the language that might be unique to YouTube if you're new to it. But first, we want to talk about a new event that Dan's putting together. It's called People of Video. And Dan, what makes you think you're allowed to put an event on the East Coast for video creators?
I think it's about time that we actually have one on the East Coast. Location is actually one of the contributing factors that made me come up with this crazy idea that I was just going to throw my own conference here in upstate New York. So it's good to be here, by the way. Thank you for having me. But yeah, I mean, the idea is a little bit crazy to not try to do it in New York City or to compete, or not so much compete, but in a little bit of contrast to the fact that everything is on the West Coast. Myself, in all the conferences that I've been to, have been in California. And for everybody that's on the East Coast, it'd be nice to have the opportunity to get together with our fellow creators without traveling cross country. So that was part of the inspiration for People of Video, for sure.
Yeah, People of Video conference is coming up in May of 2020. You can check it out at peopleofvideo.com. We also have a link on livestreamdeals.com. Tell us about the event and how it's different from some of the other events like VidCon and Vid Summit and Video Marketing World and even South by Southwest. Those are kind of two in Texas, two in California. It's different just by being in New York. But what else? You have a different theme to it than some of the other conferences.
So I've kind of been thinking about this for a while, and I've always kind of recognized that a lot of what we do is built on the relationships that we form with other creators. Obviously, through our creative work, you and I were able to meet each other. So relationships, opportunities, all of those things really are driven through the relationships with the people that we meet at these conferences and other events. So the reason that I was actually at Social Media Marketing World, and in part listening to the keynote there, I believe it was by Mark Schaefer, talking about the future, the evolution of marketing, and how it was moving more towards personal relationships. And that just reinforced the thoughts that I was already having. So I had been planning on having the conference for a while. I was trying to really think about how I wanted to make it different and what I thought was really most relevant for now and in the future. And to me, it always comes down to the relationships, your ability to interact. People will often go to conferences, pay a ton of money for the ticket, and then say, some of the greatest parts of the conferences happened in the hallways. And that's because they're interacting with the people and they're forming those bonds that are, personal, friendly, and also professional in the sense that you're developing business partners and collaborations and things like that. So to that end, my focus on People of Video, at the end of the day, people still want to be educated at this type of conference. So we're going to have speakers like all conferences do, but I'm paying extra attention to ways in which I can help the people who come to the conference be able to interact with everybody else who comes. So we're planning some unique ideas, or at least I think they're unique ideas, in order to bring the possibility of collaboration together, more interactive type activities that really encourages people to get to know everybody else that's at the conference with them. Because ultimately, yes, speakers are going to provide them value in the short term, but there's going to be people sitting next to them at that conference that they're going to be friends with for the rest of their life. So to that end, I want to make sure they meet the person next to them.
That sounds fantastic. Are you able to share a little bit about either some of the sessions or some of the speakers at this point?
So I've been in talks with a number of speakers, and we're actually going to start releasing them. I actually did add a few of the speakers to the website today. Dale Roberts from Self-Publishing with Dale is going to be with us. Todd.live Eddie Garrison is also from Clover Media is going to be speaking with us as well. I have other verbal confirmations, and we're working out some details on those. And I am hopefully going to be announcing them in the very near future. So definitely stay tuned to peopleofvideo.com and also on social media. You can follow us because we will announce those speakers as soon as we can.
Do you have a target number as far as attendees go, and what the space?
So originally I was trying to keep it at around 100 people, but I realized that I have a greater opportunity to do or to allow more people to come to the event, given the space that we have. The space can technically hold 370 people, but based on how I want to configure it to make certain areas of it a little more collaborative, I think we're going to shoot for around 250. That will allow us to give as many people the opportunity to actually come in person and hang out at the event. Plus, we're also super excited because I just added it today. We're going to be selling virtual tickets, so people will be able to attend via live stream,
Nice.
and they'll be able to tune in and do that. We're in talks with people who can actually conduct and control, run the live streams for us during the event.
Has there ever been any type of video creator, YouTuber type of conference in Albany before, or is this the first big one?
In my knowledge, no. I mean, I'm sure there may be local events. In the time that I've been doing YouTube, I haven't really encountered any significant creator events. Like I said, I'm sure there's pockets or little things in certain areas, or maybe in the Northeast somewhere. Obviously, there are occasional things that happen in New York City, but I kind of wanted to move away from New York City. Plus, in the last few years, Albany also built a conference center. So from a scalability perspective, after we get the process down, we can scale beyond the size that we're at now and be able to actually allow more people to come and make human connections.
How's the response been within the community there? I can tell already just from some of the names you've mentioned and some of the chatter online that within the video creator community, there's a lot of buzz and excitement. How about in the Albany area?
So yeah, definitely a lot. Because I've shared it a lot more online with our greater community because I'm still planning out some of the logistics of it. We are still a little less than a year away. As far as like a local push, that's going to come a little bit later. But like I said, one of the reasons that unlike like Los Angeles, where you have just an absolute dense population of creators, in New York and New England and this general area in the Northeast, creators are a little more spread out. I know a lot of creators that are down in Pennsylvania and in central New York and Western New York and up in Toronto, and all of these places are close, but you're not going to go down to your local coffee shop and meet one of them and have a collaborative effort there. But Albany is a central location to Pennsylvania and right. Toronto and those kind of places. So it's a perfect opportunity to give people a conference that they can get to without having to jump on a plane for 6 or 8 hours to head over to the West Coast. So
I'm always giddy when I can just drive to a conference. Yeah. Podcast Movement was in Philadelphia last year, and that really made my year. Right. And so I'm excited to be able to drive to this event and see so many great creators and speakers. In addition to People of Video Conference, and you can get your ticket or find out more information by going to peopleofvideo.com or livestreamdeals.com. Either way, click on through and check it out. It's going to be an awesome event. You're also a fantastic talent at video creation and photography and videography and understanding what makes for good content and effective content on YouTube. Your channel is youtube.com/creator fundamentals. Tell us first, for those who might not be familiar with it, tell us a little bit about the idea behind your channel and how you got started with it.
So the origin of Creator Fundamentals happened in 2017, I guess it is now. I actually had another YouTube channel called The Average Dan, and I still do. It was basically a place where I would upload tutorial videos on problems that I ran into that I couldn't find a solution to. So I decided, as I was working my way through it, I would upload a video so the next person could watch my video and save themselves some grief. So I had, that epiphany moment at some point where I was like, you know what, maybe I should actually learn the best way to get people to watch my videos on YouTube. And it was a matter of 4 months where I started to apply best practices on the average Dan. And I saw the transition on that channel that I started trying to share some of those things that I learned with the people in my small YouTubers community at the time. And what I found is that while some people were receptive, the average Dan really wasn't the proper platform to share that information. So I kind of caught the bug and I was like, hey, there is an actual way to do this. There are things that you can do that I would later call fundamentals that actually allow you to move at a much quicker pace. I mean, there's channels out there that have been on YouTube for 5 years and they just have an ultimate struggle because they haven't actually explored the mechanics of how it works and what you actually do to grow. And there's a lot of opportunity once you know those fundamentals, those basics out there that can really help you get the most out of your content and get your content out to as many people as possible. So it was like 4 months later, I decided to do Creator Fundamentals. I think it was like 6 or 8 months later that I actually launched it. I launched the channel in June of 2017. We just crossed the 2-year mark in mid-June. And it's all about simplifying YouTube, breaking things down. If there's any significant feedback that sticks in my mind that I get from my community, it's that I get a lot of feedback that I'm able to break things down in a simple, straightforward way to understand, which is a little bit more straightforward than me trying to explain this. But so that's kind of what I wanted to emphasize in the content. I didn't want to get, super technical. I wanted to be a resource for the people that were just getting started on YouTube, either right onto the platform or people that had been on the platform but hadn't really learned how it works. So that's why I named it Creator Fundamentals. I wanted people to have a foundation. In fact, my original tagline was build a foundation for YouTube success, because I wanted to give people that footing that it took me a little while to learn right off the bat, and try to shorten their learning curve as much as possible. And that's what I've been working on for the last 2 years.
Well, what's amazing is that a lot of people think YouTube's just too crowded and it's too hard to build a presence there, and it's too hard to make an impact, and it takes too long. And when you said the middle of 2017, I met you in October of 2017 on a bus to the airport. I think it was
right.
A shuttle between
LAX
and the airport. I think
it was
at the end of Vid Summit. And I could tell you already kind of had figured out a lot of stuff with YouTube, and I could tell you had a confidence about you that you knew what you wanted to do and where it was going. And it's amazing. In 2 years, you've built up a very powerful channel and presence. What role does live streaming play for you in your growth or your development or your community building? I know you go live every week on Wednesday nights.
Yep. Yeah, it's been huge in terms of building a community and building that opportunity to interact directly with your community. Doing the regular live streams is it's not so much about a growth thing; it's more about making yourself present and available. And rather than somebody watching a video and having a question and posting it in comments, there's an opportunity there where you can ask a question live and get an answer to it. So it's really powerful from a community aspect, and it's just it allows you to kind of follow up on the content that you're making in a way where either you're able to address common problems that people are encountering, or somebody can ask a follow-up question to something they learned and they didn't quite get all of the details on. So it's really helpful in that regard. And plus we also do channel reviews where somebody who is trying to improve their channel, we can actually look at where they are in the process and kind of take a look at some opportunities for improvement.
What are some of those fundamentals then that people can look at and start to assess how they're doing on YouTube?
So I think probably the biggest mistake that people make is being really broad in their content or not even having an idea of why they're making videos. They're just, I want to make videos on YouTube. I'm going to be a vlogger. And for a lot of people who haven't done any research on it, being a vlogger is simply make a video, whatever comes to mind on a given day, and put it on YouTube. Well, the reality is, especially when you're working off of a subscriber base, is that people subscribe to your channel for something. Typically, they end up coming to your channel through a single video. So if they see a cat video and they subscribe to your channel, and then tomorrow you upload a video of your kids play, and then the next day you're working on your car, there's a disconnect there, and you're not really giving them what their expectations were. You're not meeting those expectations. So ultimately what happens is they either stop caring about the content that you're making, or they leave the channel altogether. And neither one of those is really good for growth. So one of the core foundational or fundamental elements is to focus in on a niche. You want to have a specific topic that your entire channel is revolved around, and stick to that topic. Focus on that as much as possible, and make sure that each time a video comes out, you are serving those people who chose to subscribe to your channel, because you're giving them exactly what they signed on for.
So it starts with picking a niche that is not broad at all. You want to go deep with one subject,
right,
or one aspect of one subject.
In some cases, yeah.
And then, do you recommend for people who have two interests that aren't that closely related, just have two different channels? Like you have multiple channels, right?
Yeah, and I will say it is a lot of work to run a YouTube channel, to grow a YouTube channel. So yes, if you are seriously intent on covering multiple topics, it's probably better to have them on separate channels. Now, if you have a focus channel and you've done 50 videos and you do one kind of off-wall video just to share a bit of your personality or something with your audience, that's not going to ruin your channel. People probably aren't going to bail from your channel because of that. It's the idea that you're constantly doing different stuff. So if that's your passion, if you have two different passions and you want to make content on this, it's probably better that they're on different channels. That way you're not going to cause confusion with your subscriber base and potentially cause people to leave because they're not getting what they expected.
Right.
So
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, so if you really want to upload that video of your kids play or recital, then make a separate channel and make that your whatever channel. You can absolutely have a channel and just put up videos to share, like the initial intent of YouTube was back in the day, where people, in fact, I have a personal channel from years ago that just has family videos on it. So those are fine. You just want to keep them away from the actual content that you're trying to use to grow an audience.
In terms of creating the video itself, is there a certain number of minutes people should look at when they're creating their first few videos? Is there a certain structure that you believe they should use? I know one of the mistakes some people do is they take too long to tell you what the video is about or why you should stay tuned. Or there's certain they go into their intro music and it plays for 30 seconds, things like that. What are some of the things that right away you got to think about doing when you're doing your first few videos if you want to capture people's attention?
So it was interesting when you were chatting. When you were chatting earlier, the idea, there were a lot of parallels in the conversation that you were having in terms of what people should be focused on. And I always tell people, instead of worrying about the metrics, how many subscribers you're getting or how many views, focus on making your first 100 videos and not worry about the metrics. If you want to pay attention to each metric, make it video count. And yes, there are definitely specific things you want to do in terms of making a video that keeps people's attention longer. But it is equally important that you're making content and you're making small improvements over time. So the general way that I approach a video is to come in with a hook, which is very short, usually a one-liner that just is. Most of my videos are more of a talking head style. So it is to re-emphasize that the people are going to get exactly what they signed on for. In this video, we're going to talk about how to get more views on YouTube, that kind of thing. And then I will usually do a quick a bumper or a flash of my logo for branding. Now, this is also where a lot of people kind of go off the rails. They head over to Fiverr and they got somebody who's plugging in graphics and, giving them this 40-second intro, or they'll get, and it's just way overkill. I think if you really want to keep that bare minimum, 5 seconds, maybe 3 seconds. I think mine is about 3 seconds long.
Right.
In some cases, you may just want to flash some type of branding over the video itself, but usually that's what I'll do. I'll do a hook, a bumper, and then I'll do an intro. And then ideally, depending on the type of content that you're making, people have really short attention spans. So if you can constantly mix up the video and kind of change the frame, every 15 or 30 seconds, just do something different, transition between different scenes and things like that, you have a much better chance of keeping people's attention, or else if you're just droning on talking, they're going to lose interest and they'll see something flashy on the sidebar and they'll move on. So ideally, that is a good way to keep people. And, then, including a call to action at some point in there, to depending on what your goal is for that video, if you're trying to bring people in to subscribe, and then close out. And ideally at the end of your video, if you can send them into another video, and hey, if you want to continue to see this type of content, make sure you click the video in the link or on the end screen, that kind of thing, because you want to keep them watching as much of your content and stay in session on YouTube as you can.
And you believe in using cards and using all the different options that YouTube gives you to highlight other videos and give people a chance to click on to the next thing, right?
Yeah. And one of they'll often say that sometimes it can be a single video that kind of transforms a channel, because something will just really take off. And the actual video for me that was kind of a high level, this is what you need to do. And it was actually kind of built on cards of existing videos. So I was saying, these are the things you need to do. This is a card for step 1. This is a card for step 2. And I kind of walked them through all the references that they needed. And then that video took off, which obviously had a good impact throughout my channel.
Who are some creators that you enjoy watching on YouTube?
So, man, when I first started, obviously Nick Nimmin, Roberto Blake, Brian G. Johnson, these were all guys that I would pick, that I would watch, and I would, for all of them, I kind of picked up something different. I always tell people, or I highly encourage people, to get your information from multiple sources. Don't just tune in to one station playing the same message over and over again and build all your thoughts on that. So Nick Nimmin was a big inspiration in terms of thumbnails. He really nailed the thumbnail game back when I first started, and he continues to do so. Roberto Blake was always very straightforward when it came to the business side of YouTube, and which is something that I think people get hung up on, the terminology more than the reality of the situation. And they're like, it's just a hobby. I'm not here to make money, looking at people who are trying to make money as like, some nefarious thing. But I think the reality is that, all of those things make sense. And then, Brian G. Johnson with his Tube Ritual community, which was a really good interactive community where a lot of people go to share and resolve resources in that regard. I also worked with him a little bit on developing some of my early branding. So yeah, I mean, all these guys were big influences. Daryl Eves, obviously, every time he put out an algorithm video, everybody would tune in and take notes. So yeah, all these guys were definite influences and inspiration in terms of the way I approach content, and just kind of giving me a general sense of some of the things that needed to be done to be successful.
Well, one of the big kind of news items around YouTube and Google in general is Google Hangouts on Air is supposed to disappear today. I haven't checked whether it's still there. It's not really a platform that I've used all that much. Do you know if it went away or if it's still?
I actually don't. I never used it, and which is probably, between you and I, neither one of us had ever used it, and it's gone. So we probably weren't the only ones. But if I was ever on it, I was on it as a guest on somebody else's event, or live stream or something. But yeah, it wasn't something that I ever used. I use other means for those types of interactions. Typically like Zoom to do like multi-person type videos. So
somebody had asked me a question in a DM if I thought that Google Hangouts on Air going away meant that Google wasn't as committed, or YouTube wasn't as committed to live streaming. And my thought was, I don't think that's the case. I think it's just a product that doesn't have enough users to be worth sustaining anymore. But then I did think about, well, they also cut off access from the mobile app to people with under 1,000 subscribers. Do you have any clue why they did either of those things?
And yeah, I do. And I think the reason that they, at least my interpretation or understanding of the reason why they cut that, was to basically allow a little more control. I think it had to do a lot with all the steps they were taking to protect children. So they were kind of like, hey, we need to find ways to be able to, and this is just speculation, I could be completely off, because YouTube is always great about directly telling us why they do things, but the some of the things that they have been doing have been around protecting children, controlling liability, obviously, and making sure that they have a general sense of the content of a channel and what they're providing. Now, they haven't done an excellent job of that, because there's still ways to go to live stream on YouTube from mobile. You just can't use, or under 1,000 subscribers, you just can't use the direct go live now through the YouTube app, but you can still, at least the last time I checked, you can live stream through third-party services.
And there's a lot of those out there that you can use.
There are. Yeah.
I think I just assume that YouTube Live doesn't distinguish between a mobile encoder and a desktop encoder or a hardware encoder. As long as you're using some type of encoder to connect,
exactly, yeah,
then you're not using their mobile app. And
exactly, and maybe somehow that solves a problem for them, or they didn't account for it. But
I'm sure it cuts out tens of thousands of troublemakers.
Right? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It might be one thing to go on and cause a little trouble. Another thing is to learn how to use an encoding app and production software, and things like that. We're talking with Dan Courier. He is the founder and host of the Creator Fundamentals channel on YouTube, where he simplifies YouTube and really helps people get started and grow their channels. He's also putting together the People of Video conference. It's at peopleofvideo.com. Check it out. Albany, New York, in May of 2020. And I'm going to say goodbye for just a second, and then we're going to bring you back on along with Jennifer Quinn for the post show. Dan Courier, it's so great to talk to you and have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, Ross.
Thank you, Dan. That is Dan Courier, peopleofvideo.com. You can check out People of Video. You can also check out Leverage Live Streaming to Build Your Brand, the book. You can see both of those products at livestreamdeals.com, as well as all the products that we featured on our live shows and podcasts and YouTube videos. Quick thanks to everybody who's been watching and commenting. Gord is here. Great to see you, Gord. Jay Garrett, Brian White, Anita Sonia, Blue Streak Science is here. David's here. David, who else? Live Streaming Tech. That's Dale and Walt. And thank you all so much for watching and participating. I also want to say thanks. This is our first LinkedIn Live with guests, and I want to say thanks to some of the people. Roger Wakefield is with us, great LinkedIn Live content creator. Jeffrey Fitzgerald, Brad Friedman, Jennifer Quinn has been active in the chat. Nicole Sanchez, and a host of other people. I thank you all so much for joining. We're going to move on to the post show now, and that's going to be just on Facebook and YouTube. To make it easy for you, Facebook is rossbrand.live and YouTube is rossbrand.tv. So rossbrand.live for Facebook or rossbrand.tv for YouTube, as we say goodbye to our audiences on Twitch and Periscope and Twitter and Mixer and on LinkedIn. And thank you. A special thanks again to everybody on LinkedIn for joining us as we move into the post show, and we will bring back in our first guest, Jennifer Quinn, and our second guest, Dan Courier. Welcome, guys, and thanks so much for being part of the show and for sticking around for the post show. This has been a lot of fun.
It's been so much fun.
Yeah, so it was interesting hearing Dan talk about some of the similarities between getting started with YouTube and getting started with live streaming. Did you see some of that as well, Jennifer?
Oh, totally. Like, especially the first 100. Like, I loved what you said, Dan, about, you know, on your first 100 videos on YouTube, the only metric to follow is how many videos you've uploaded. Really? Brilliant. Because we get way too lost in, you know, just have fun, right? Have fun with it and create.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, when you were talking about the you know, the early steps of live streaming, it's so many things that I've shared in videos on how to get started on YouTube, you know, natural light versus setting up, you know, stationary cameras, those kind of things. So yeah, tons of parallels between, you know, the live streaming process and getting started on YouTube.
I'm putting out the link for anyone on YouTube or on Facebook who'd like to come in, ask a question, or join the chat. I see Jason Liebman is here from New York City, NYC Video Mastermind, which Dan and I are co-founders, along with Jason and Dan Norton and John DeStefano. And hopefully all of us will be able to make it to Albany for the first big video creator event. We talked to Dan today about People of Video, peopleofvideo.com, and of course Jennifer Quinn about her fantastic book, Leverage Live Streaming to Build Your Brand. Is there a volume 2 coming out, or an addition to, or another book or another project about live streaming in the works?
Yes, the answer is yes.
The answer is yes. Okay.
You know what my problem is? Okay, so Russ, I'll tell you why I'm a little bit elusive with my answers.
Sure.
In one of my live streams, it was when I had David Avocado Wolf on. Do you happen to remember that one?
I actually did.
Yeah. And I was so caught up in the emotion. Like, it was a huge deal to have him on my show. It was such an honor, right? And I was so caught up with the excitement and the emotion. And I've never shared this story ever before. So here it is on your, I like to call it an after party. I know you say it's post show. It's an after party. And so what happened was, he was talking, I asked, like, what were the, because he's, you know, this huge natural health guru, like huge, right? So he was sharing some tips on what we should do to be healthy for maximum health. And I was just like on fire with health. And so he said, grounding. If you could be grounding, which means walking barefoot on the earth every day for an hour, is what he recommended. I got so caught up in the emotion of everything. I committed online on the video. I said, I'm doing it. Who's with me? Come on, let's do this. And you know what? I didn't follow through. And it was mortifying that I didn't follow through. And so now I just don't commit to anything unless I know 100% that I'm following through. So
well, I was going to get rid of all my plastic water bottles after watching that show. That didn't happen either. Although I did drink from every once in a while I'm out, I get a glass bottle, as though drinking one glass bottle every 4 weeks is going to somehow.
Funny you brought that up, though, because I ordered a case of glass bottles from Amazon that I was going to put my water in.
And how did that go?
A week. And then I donated them all.
It's the power of influence.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so that's why I hope that gives you some context why I'm a little elusive. Because until I'm like, oh, this is happening 100% at this time, this date, I'm like, because it was, I think it was a little weird, actually, my reaction of being like, oh, I'm mortified that I didn't follow through on that ridiculous commitment.
Where does he find a safe place to walk barefoot these days?
Well, he lives in California, first of all.
No, well, I mean, if you're on the beach, that's one thing. But if you're, I don't know, in an urban area or whatever, where am I going to go out and walk barefoot? Everybody's lawn is sprayed, so that's not an option.
Yeah, where do you live? Do you live in the suburbs? Do you live in the city?
Me?
that me?
Dan.
Dan.
Oh, I live more in the suburbs, probably between suburbs and rural. So,
Oh, so you've got some.
I could, yeah, I wouldn't make that commitment myself, but I could probably figure it out.
Hypothetically, if you were interviewing somebody who was huge guru in the health industry and he said to do it, would you then commit live on video?
I would find a creative way to dodge that commitment. Especially more so now, having heard your story. So.
Please, everybody, learn from my story.
We have Todd.live, Todd Bergen joining us,
Hey,
host of Grammar School. What else? Tell us real quick.
Speaker at People of Video.
Speaker at People of Video. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if the sound's coming through or the picture's good, but I'm using a mobile phone and it's experimental, I guess, here in StreamYard. So
we can hear you.
Cool.
And we can see you.
Very cool. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Fantastic. I caught the tail end of your show. It looks great. It looks great, Ross.
Oh, thanks, Todd.
I'm totally digging this, Ross. This feels like Blab.
I know. I'm bringing back the post show, and which is always fun. And Brad Friedman asked the question. He said, "Just lost you on LinkedIn, Ross. Is there a 1 hour limit?" Not that I know of. I just decided that the post show, since I'm going to open up the seats and somebody like Todd can just jump on in and who knows what they're going to say, I would bow out of the professional platforms like LinkedIn, and we would just keep it to Facebook and YouTube.
It was for your safety, Brad.
Not, of course, because of Todd. It's because you never know what's going to happen on a post show, and we don't turn the recording off and all that stuff like you could do on Blab. So I just think Facebook and YouTube are good places to go, and LinkedIn maybe not so much for the post show, or maybe I will eventually do it on the post show.
The good news is your show, you do it however you want.
Yeah.
So, Ross, how many platforms are you going live on? I think I counted like 7 or 8.
Let's see. What do we have here? We have Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, Twitch, and LinkedIn. I might have been on Mixer too. Restream was having some issues with Mixer. I don't think anybody watches on Mixer, but hey, it's another platform. I'll learn the lingo and the tech there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7.
That's a nice feat. The most I've ever done is 5, and that was really tough.
LinkedIn is tough because their API isn't open as far as bringing in the comments anywhere. So you literally have to look down at your cell phone for LinkedIn.
Well, this is fantastic, Ross. I think it looks great, and it does remind me of Blab. And I wish I would have come in on something other than the mobile phone, but I just kind of hurried and got the link and decided to give it a whirl, especially when I saw that it's experimental in StreamYard right now. I thought, well, how cool is that? I don't know if you've had a mobile guest come in yet.
I'm trying to think. I don't think I have on StreamYard, and they are eventually going to get to the point, probably starting with tablet and then moving to phone, where you could actually go live and produce the show from your phone.
Oh, nice.
They've talked about that. And the challenge is, with all the different things there are to do and options, how do you get that all on the phone so somebody can be using it as a camera and not completely ruin their broadcast trying to figure out, you can't do everything that you can probably do with a mouse and a keyboard on a phone. So how do you design that? How do you get it? And probably the first step will be to go to a tablet. But those guys at StreamYard, everything they've rolled out has worked. I mean, check this out. We're going to have 5 people on when I bring in Jay Leibs. That's 5 cameras.
Hey, how's it going?
No loss of quality. Hey, Jason, how you doing?
Hey, good. Testing out my new setup. I'm actually down in Atlanta now. So I just got everything set up, and I was about to go streaming to the Awesome Creator Academy, but then I saw you guys were live, and you sent out the link, so I'm here to hang out.
Cool. Thanks for joining us.
How many people can you have on here at one time?
You can have up to 6 on camera, and you can have up to 10 within the studio.
All right, y'all. We need one more person who's brave enough to hop on. Let's test
Push
this.
it to the limit.
Just in true live stream reality, the smoke alarms in my house were all going off in unison. So I had to mute. I'm listening to the family run around in the background trying to stop whatever set off the smoke alarms. I'm like, oh yeah, this is about how it goes. Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the thing that I love about live video is because it's so real, and you just have to roll with it when it happens. And I think that's what increases the trust factor. No offense to all of you amazing video creators, but there's no editing. You can't edit stuff out. And so it's like, just if we can use Dan's example, he muted, he took care of it, and then he came on, he was laughing about it. So we got to know Dan a little bit better because of how he handled that situation. Right.
Yeah. It's the more you do live streams, and like I was telling Ross before we started, as I was setting up StreamYard, one of my Logitech C920s died. And that was at like 6:35. So the more you do it, the more you learn to expect problems, and how to deal with them. Like, especially in that situation like that, I'm going to stop talking now and mute because the fire alarm, the smoke detector's back on.
It's not that loud.
Well, this is a much better mic than I've had in the past. So hopefully, it's just picking up my voice. Yeah.
This mic hardly picks up the person sitting in front of it if you don't turn the gain up high enough, or depending on what kind of interface or mixer you're using, if you don't have a cloud lifter or something. So that's the beauty of it. I mean, you can have fire alarms going off. We can hear you clearly. If you were using like Blue Snowball or something, you could hear like 10 stories up somebody coughing.
Now I've got a tech question for you guys. All of you right now are streaming beautifully. There's no lag at all in your picture as you move about and
Thank you.
speak. But on myself, I'm seeing myself with a tremendous amount of lag. Are you guys seeing the lag too, or are you seeing me clearly with moving around just fine?
No, you've got lag.
You're definitely lagging.
Yeah, it's kind of choppy.
I'm Ethernetted in. I'm sure almost everybody else is too, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, another look in reality, when I get on live, especially like for my live streams at night, I force everybody else off of Wi-Fi, even though Spectrum tells me that I should have the internet to handle something like a live stream. It's not always the reality. So rather than take the chance, I even go into my iPads and take them off the Wi-Fi in case there's something running in the background. So I try to max out my signal as much as I can, so it's not a burden on it.
Same thing.
The Ethernet versus Wi-Fi has really been a problem for a lot of people. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to at conferences and in various places in private messages where they've said, well, how do you get your video so smooth and crisp? And I said, well, are you using Wi-Fi to connect to whatever it is you're connecting to? Try an Ethernet connection. And they always contact me back and they're like, whoa, it just changed everything for me in an instant. I never thought of that.
Yeah. One of the things that I do, you guys probably already know this, but maybe there's somebody who's watching this that doesn't know it. But when I'm out and about and I want to go live, then I actually will test the speed test both on my data and on the Wi-Fi, because usually the data is stronger when I'm out than any Wi-Fi I can ever get anywhere, even though I've got the secret password that only 2 people are supposed to have, so that's been my little trick, because people are like, oh, I can't get any signal, to go live. Oh, we'll take it off Wi-Fi and let's see what you can do. And it's not so much it's like, Dan, what you were saying, it's not taking it off Wi-Fi, it's turning the Wi-Fi off. Because otherwise it's going to keep searching.
Right.
Yeah, because go ahead, Jay.
I was just going to say, a lot of times with live streaming, it's important to have consistency of signal rather than like the strongest signal. So as long as you are staying consistent on either your cellular or your Wi-Fi for a certain like level, then you're going to have a smooth live stream.
I don't disagree with you, Jay, but if you do a speed test and you start out at 4 megs upload.
Oh yeah, you need a minimum of like maybe 6 to 10, somewhere around there. Absolutely right caveat there.
And it also depends like where your router is. Like I got these, what are they called? They're these like little adapters that you plug into your into your outlet, and you run the router into one adapter,
An amplifier,
run the other adapter from
Extender,
another room, and it goes through the electrical grid or whatever. And I'm telling you, it's amazing, because when I'm running my computer on Wi-Fi, I get like 13 up, 13 down, and when I run it on those things, I get like 80 up and 80 down.
Wow.
So it's like, yeah, Ethernet makes a big difference. But what I was surprised about is running a cord all the way across the house to plug it in, and using those adapters doesn't seem to make any difference. That's how good they are.
Wow.
So it's like $70 is like the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, I had to run an Ethernet cable across the house when I had my studio in another building in that condo that I had, because I found that my audio equipment was affected by the router. I would get this little noise all the time in my sound, so I had to get the router away. So I put it on the other side of the house, and whenever I would use live streaming, I would run that cord. I had like a 60-foot cord, Ethernet cord, and it worked beautifully. It was kind of a hassle, but I didn't want that noise coming through on anything I was doing.
Yeah. I've run into a lot of, especially because I work in a really small office, electrical interference has always been like a really significant thing. In fact, I have the cam link, so I can actually live stream with my DSLR. The one challenge in that is the battery that I have to plug in the DSLR, so the batteries don't die in the middle of a live stream. That actually creates horrible interference with my audio. So I've just moved back to working with the C920 because I can do the sound, I can use the mic separate from it and get nice quality sound. And I've learned how to tweak the settings on the C920 to get a fairly decent looking picture. I just decided, I could get a little bit better quality and nicer lens on the camera. But like you said, the really nice audio kind of stands out. So I've always tried to get the audio, a little bit better. And the first thing you notice on somebody's video when they have, some kind of interference is that static or that background noise in audio.
Well, your Shure SM7B sounds great. I mean, it just sounds terrific. What are you running it into?
So it runs through a cloud lifter into the H4n Pro, which sends the 48 volt phantom power to the cloud lifter. So yeah, when you first, and then of course I was a noob when it came to this mic. I bought the mic and I plugged it in. I'm like, this is going to sound great. I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds awful. And then I started doing a little bit of research, which blows my mind. You can answer any question on YouTube. That so many people struggle with things and never find the solutions. But I went in there and they basically said, you need the cloud lifter because it needs enough juice to really magnify this mic to the point where it overcomes that interference and that background noise and stuff. So, and surprisingly, and again, I'm not technical to the point of understanding how everything works, but this mic doesn't require phantom power, but the cloud lifter does. So plugging the cloud lifter into the H4n Pro, which gives it the 48 volt phantom power, gives it the power it needs to boost this mic to the point where the quality sounds really good.
Yeah. No, it sounds great. It really does.
No. How do I sound right now, just out of curiosity? Because I am just testing out my live stream setup that I just put together like 5 minutes ago.
I think you sound fine.
Yeah? Cool.
Yeah,
so this is my Rode mic through the camera through the cam link.
Oh, nice.
So you're using a Rode shotgun?
Yeah, on the camera with the dead cat on it, and then I'm just projecting towards it instead of having it in front of my face.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I appreciate that feedback, just because, like I said, I just put all this together, just moved into a new place, so I want to make sure it was all working great.
No, you got a deep resonant sound. Doesn't sound like anything.
That's my voice.
You could have like a lav mic right on you, or a dynamic mic. And Jennifer, you're using a lav mic.
I am Shure wireless through an Allen Heath mixer. And
Nice.
if you want me to go as deep into the tech as Dan did, it's not going to happen.
Are you using one of these guys?
Me?
Yeah.
Nope.
These little ones? No. Okay.
You mean with my lav?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Do you take that with you when you live stream, or you can't really take
No,
it because you got to mix?
Yeah, no, I use the I wish I had it here, but I don't. It's downstairs, but it's the you know, the Samson Mobile Go or whatever.
Right.
The 2 lav mic set. Yeah.
But the one you have on now sounds awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
very good.
See what you did there.
Yeah. So I love this though. This is fun. I wonder if the viewers are thinking this is fun listening to all this tech stuff, but it just makes me happy.
Yeah.
I mean, this literally is like the OG Blab Squad too.
Right?
And like you were saying before, like I heard you guys when I was getting on. It's like, yeah, this is exactly the people of Blab.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm the only one in the group who has 0 experience or knowledge of that platform.
Well,
So much nostalgia.
It was an interesting time.
I don't know how we even had a good time with Dan not there.
I was
You turned that one around.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
I only went live on Blab one time, and I went in as a guest in somebody else's live stream. So I'm kind of like you, Dan. I was a little late to that game.
Yeah. But it certainly comes up in conversation a lot, and it sounds like it's genuine fondness / sarcastic fondness. It's hard to tell sometimes, but
because there was community there. I mean, like very few apps are able to get the community part right, and they really. I don't know if they got it right or they lucked into it. They stumbled in it because they eventually grew to hate the community and didn't really intend for the app to succeed, perhaps. I don't know. But we had a blast all being together on that platform and, you know, the connections. But there were frustrations with the stability of the platform, with the management that sort of disappeared at one point, and it's kind of like they just let it go, and then we knew it was kind of going downhill. But in terms of like getting, that's how I found live streaming, because Brian Fanzo put in on Facebook or somewhere that he was going to be going into Blab to talk about a Twitter chat or something. So I thought it was like a Twitter chat on steroids, like, okay, Twitter chat next level or something. And I stumbled into it, and it's like, oh, wow, this is like talk show heaven in here. I can just go from one show to the next And
well, I never even had an idea of doing a talk show. It was never even on my radar. I was barely playing around with Periscope, right? But there was something about the setup that it was just like this, like, you know, do an interview show and do it daily. I was just like, okay, I had no idea how much work it was. But yeah, it was. So Dan, I think I would be curious to hear, like, just not that it even matters at all. Just I'm super curious, like what you're hearing that isn't, because I think the people aspect was really amazing. It was kind of magical.
You know, I think it's like any platform or any, you know, sometimes the not even just platform, but people who go through challenging situations always become the closest friends when they do it together, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I haven't heard anything bad about it. It generally sounds like fond memories, but you always wonder if there's any, subtext to it. But yeah. Go ahead. I was gonna say, I have 0 experience. I had no awareness of live streaming at that point. So
yeah,
it made it easy to get started, because you could really literally like plug in a USB mic and go. All you had to do was click a button, you click record, you would get an audio and video recording when you were done. You'd see all the little headshots across the top of the people watching. You could tweet out right from the show that you were live. There was this integration with Twitter, which was really cool. And you could even like tweet out GIFs of your show or little clips for a while, and then that disappeared. So there are all these little cool features. When somebody joined, they would say like, welcome this person or whatever. Like, it was actually, and like, I don't know.
People from chat were able to just hop in, kind of like how Ross posted the link to this and you can hop in, but that was like a feature.
Yeah.
And then having multiple people like this, it was one of the first platforms that was doing it. Most platforms haven't since, except for like StreamYard and like these third-party applications. And I think a lot of the sarcasm comes from the fact of just how it ended very abruptly for a lot of people.
That's exactly.
And I think any ping of sarcasm, that's what it is. It's like we had this community where, like, you know, that was the first show I hosted with Roberto. Like, the two of us did that together. Everybody else had shows. When shows were over, it would like swarm into the next one. And it's like you can literally just hop on in the middle of the night on your laptop or on your phone and just join into a show.
And none of us, we had no life. Like, were we working out? That's ridiculous. When I listen to you say that, it's true. I'm not denying it, but I'm like, I know for me, my prime time of hanging out was like from between midnight and 2, because that's the free time I had, right? But
so how did they protect against like crazy people jumping into the?
There was no.
They didn't.
They didn't.
Kick people out, and you could block them.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So like when somebody hopped up, we had one incident that was like the incident on our show, at least, where somebody like hopped on and they were completely naked on camera, and we just kicked them off immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was bad.
It's
That's all I'll say. It was bad.
Kind of video version of America Online chat rooms from 1994.
Oh, now see, I was all about the America Online chat rooms. That was my jam. So
seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we used to go into those chat rooms and set up. We would like have fake arguments with each other just to rile the other people up in the chat. That was like when I was a teenager. That was like one of the things we did.
Yeah, it's like when you find that first like social bastion where
we
like
didn't have
you can actually
smartphones.
get with other people and stuff like that. It takes off. But you know, they didn't want to invest in the people that were doing like high performance, like broadcasting and stuff on the platform. They wanted to be a place just to hang out.
Hey, it's good to see you guys. I got to take off. I'm on borrowed time. I'm on this cell phone that actually gets phone calls. I can't even believe I've made it this far. But it was great to see and participate with you all today, and I hope to see you soon.
Thanks.
Great seeing you, Todd.
Todd.
Good to see you, Todd. Thanks for coming in.
So
Hey, I saw Mo Morris Lilienthal pop on a second ago. Mo, if you're still watching, hop in, call in.
One of us.
well, you know, I was sitting here thinking, you know, listening to you talk about Blab, and I'm like, so I wonder why nobody has taken, you know, because some of those features sounded cool, why some other platform hasn't adapted them, and then I'm like, oh, okay, there's probably like a liability thing, like especially you know on my platform of choice on YouTube, they're getting so, I mean, it's getting so massively concerned about protecting everybody at all times and not interfering with the revenue machine that is advertising, that's probably why there's a lot of liability involved in all the possibilities of just letting anybody jump into anybody's stream and just do whatever. So that's kind of an interesting. Yeah.
To clarify, the host of it still had to approve that like you get on it, but you didn't know what was on the other side of that camera when you hit approve.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
in the beginning, I was way too nice. Like, I would look at somebody and go, that's probably a troll. But just in case it's not, I don't want to offend them and bring them in. And instantly you'd be sorry. And somebody would come in like, so what are you guys talking about? Do you have a question? Yeah. And then they'd just sit there and they'd wait. And it's like, okay, show killer. Bye.
That's probably how we met, Ross.
Yeah.
Just up late night trolling.
I don't think Roberto would have stood for that.
No.
So how's Atlanta?
So far, so good. I just got moved in. I mean, it's been a little under a week since I was down here. So I have yet to like go out, and it's been like thunderstorms the past few days. Sunday, I'm supposed to meet up with Roberto and a few other like awesome squad people. There's like this hot air balloon festival going on Sunday. Well, it's now through the whole weekend, but that's when we're going to go, like light up balloons and going for rides and stuff like that. So should be nice. Yeah. I mean, I just moved into my place, had to get all unpacked, get all the tech set up. And so now I'm going to be doing more live streams. I got that good internet like right here. Yeah, so I mean, this is the longest I've been able to hold like a live stream going for a while because I had like very low internet speeds in my last place.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Thank you guys all for sticking around for the post show. Jason, thanks for jumping on.
Hey,
Good
thanks
luck.
for having me.
Good luck in Atlanta. Keep us posted.
Yeah.
You're still going to commute up for all the New York City video mastermind.
As many as I can, but we'll have to start calling it East Coast, and but the Dans kind of have it under wraps right now. So,
right. And Dan, thanks so much. Peopleofvideo.com, check it out. Jennifer Quinn, always nice to have you back on the show. It's Leverage Live Streaming to Build Your Brand is the book. You can find out about all the products at livestreamdeals.com. Take care, everybody.
Bye.